What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the DBL podcast. I am your host, Rock Solid. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about an age old question. Am I ready to date or even love again? And this is a very important question because a lot of people, as we talked about in a couple episodes back, people like to just jump back into relationships because this is their way of healing. And that's fine, but understand when you're getting involved with a person who has not had time to heal from a previous relationship, these people also come in with this scab that the moment you do something wrong, it opens that wound right back up and the relationship ends. Okay, because we have to understand something. The first and most important relationship and the best relationship you will ever have throughout your life will be a relationship with yourself. How you feel about yourself and how you take care of yourself, your mind, your body, and your spirit will set the stage for any and all relationships that you might have outside of yourself. I'm talking about from a spouse, your family member, friends, hell, even your coworkers, okay? But from a spiritual and a practical perspective, it is pretty clear that if you don't love yourself, it is harder to give love and or receive love. So the question of the hour is very simple. Am I ready for love? Being in relationships, you know, let me rephrase that. Being relationship ready is a key factor in whether a relationship even has a fighting chance to even last. Okay. In fact, the people that I've talked to about this right here, and I asked a lot of questions to a lot of different people, and people that feel like they're ready for a relationship, their relationships have a 1 in 4 chance of being a surviving relationship. So that means that if you get yourself right, you can then proceed to get with someone else and make their life right. So I want to make sure we focus on the task at hand and doing this today. Listen, let's be honest, right? Feeling ready leads to a better outcome in a relationship and most importantly, your own well being. When people feel like they're more ready, this right here tends to amplify and the effects of a mental commitment on relationship, the maintenance of the relationship, and the stability of a relationship. And of course, deciding if you're finally ready to start dating is never easy. You know what I'm saying? Nobody really wants to get their heart broken again. And love is a risk. Let's just be honest, right? Because even if you feel more secure in yourself and feel like you've truly unpacked and moved on from your last previous relationship, jumping into a new one is going to be just as scary. So today we're going to be talking about a few ways to tell if you're ready and things to be mindful of when you think you're ready. Okay, so let's dive on in. I'm going to give you a couple of little tips and clues that, from me, my research and the things that I've talked to, and, of course, my situations, my real life situations that I've been through as well. Okay. And I think like the first thing to tell you if you're ready, and I'm talking from my personal experience, right? Is I want to know, if I'm ready to meet someone that is like minded like myself. Because you can, opposites attract, but opposites don't stay. It's okay to be different because we don't want to be, herds of sheep, right? So it's okay, but you also want somebody who think like you. And that is most important because when you process the uplifting of the energy that it takes to self-love and acceptance, it's easy to like magnetically attract a like-minded partner who only loves themselves, who not only loves themselves, right? But they want a relationship to share and be compatible with you because you guys think alike. And importantly, loving yourself and sharing your love is more important than having control over getting love. But you have to be mindful that when you get someone who thinks like you, who acts like you, and who talks like you, these are the same people, they don't have the opportunity to manipulate you. Okay. But at the same time, you also can manipulate the situation because they think like you and they talk like you think you can anticipate their next move. Sometimes you're right and sometimes you're wrong. And when you're wrong, those are the ones that seem to turn people against you because they think that you're trying to control their next thought, their next mind, and you're trying to control the relationship. So you have to be, first of all, you have to be ready to want a like-minded partner such as yourself, but you also have to be mindful of the fact that you can also come off as if you're trying to control the situation. Everything that we talk about is about balance. So we have to make sure that we're very balanced in what it is that we're actually talking about. Okay. Another thing you have to do is you have to complete yourself. And this is important because we talk about the needy people. We talk about the people who rely on other people or who are chemically dependent on someone else saying, doing, and everything. When you come out of a heartbreak, you have to be ready to complete yourself. You know you're ready for a relationship when you don't need someone else to complete you. You yourself is a whole person on your own, but you're looking for another person, you know what I'm saying, to not complete the circle, but to be your equal, to be your other part. You don't need a relationship to feel happy, nor do you need one to feel worthy. Instead, hell, you want a relationship to share your love with. You know what I'm saying? And importantly, loving yourself. These things, they bring us back to a place that when you complete yourself, it is a beautiful place to be because when you don't need someone, I tell people all the time, I was taught and raised by a lot of women. I know how to cook, I know how to clean, I know how to do everything that a woman can do for me in a relationship. So I don't need a woman, but I can appreciate one. And that's what being complete within yourself means that you don't need someone, but you can appreciate any and everything that they can do for you. When you want a relationship, I promise you, it deepens that growth rather than, you know what I'm saying, filling in your emptiness because you've already filled the emptiness on the inside. There's a old Baptist hymn. It says, the world didn't give it and the world can't take it away. That's because peace comes from on the inside, and we must make sure that we're very conscious of what we mean when we say that, okay? Because when it comes to this task, there isn't anything that you have to be mindful of because when you complete yourself, everything else is secondary. Okay. So the next one that I'm going to throw out at you is you don't want to settle for conditional love. And I'm not even sure if I'm using the right word or phrase there, but I'm going to leave it at that. You don't want to settle for conditional love, because us as people or as humans, whichever word you want to use, right? We're always ready for love when you realize you deserve to receive unconditional love, from the person that you're trying to receive the love from. And of course, you're mature enough, not them, but you have to be mature enough to know that, that this isn't to say that you can mistreat your partner, right? Because you have to be you can't purposely abuse them or people by taking advantage of their love. And likewise, what I'm saying, you're ready to give love without strings attached. You have to be mindful that when you walk into a situation where you say, I want unconditional love, you have to also be mindful of the fact that you're not giving out love with conditions. And that's a struggle that a lot of people have. I want somebody to love me for myself. I want somebody to be there for me, somebody to not try to change me, somebody who can accept me for who I am, the yada, yada, yada crap, right? That people like to, spew out at us, right? And then in the same time they're going to tell me, but you got to make sure you have a job, you got to make sure you do this, you got to take care of home, or you got to cook. If you don't do these things, then you and I are going to have issues, blah blah blah, right? Those are, you have to be mindful that when you ask for something, you're asking for something that you can also give in return. And that is always a struggle with a lot of people. So again, it's okay to ask for unconditional, but you cannot at the same time give out conditional because at that point you become a hypocrite. You're asking for something that you cannot give in return. Okay, so just be mindful of that part. All right. The next thing I'm gonna throw at you is you gotta understand something that when you walk away from a previous relationship, a part of healing and fixing yourself is understanding that there is nothing wrong with you. You are entitled to be the reason that a relationship ends. It doesn't make you less than a person. It makes you without another person. But one a part of the healing process is understanding, saying there's nothing wrong with you, that you're not broken, and saying you don't need to be fixed. Even if you are the reason, because it's not someone else's job and or responsibility to fix you. Okay? You have to be willing to, work on yourself. That's called that self-healing part. Okay? The secret to love is found in self-acceptance and in a shining the light on yourself in those dark places, within ourselves, because we know what our flaws are, even before people point them out to us. We know it's no different than the person walking around with a little stench up under their arm. Trust me, they've smelt it long before you did. Okay. It's the same thing with relationships, and it's the same thing with any type of relationship with people that we come in contact with. We know what's already wrong with us. We just choose to go about it as if it doesn't exist. And that works in some instances, but when you start trying to get involved in real relationship and deep relationships, those are things that you have to fix. Those are things that you have to work on, because if you can't work on yourself, then it doesn't matter what anyone else tries to fix anyway. We're not gonna pound out any of these scenarios. We're gonna just I'm gonna keep giving them to you, because like I said, we have to also think, but we also have to be mindful, right? So the next one I'll give to you is kind of one that sits home with me a little bit. It says you're not waiting for someone else to save you. I struggle with this one for a while, because as I've grown in life, as I've gotten older, the 20-year-old me required more than the 15-year-old me. The 25-year-old, the 20, the 30 versus the 25, as in I've got, I'm 46 years old. And so my needs have changed. And so you have to also understand that when you're seeking someone else's place in a relationship, or a relationship with someone else in your mental space, is that you got to understand that you're not relying on them to save you from yourself. You As you grow, you have to self adjust, and this is why I keep trying to emphasize to people in relationships, you have to have personal time, because if you don't have personal time, the other person is growing and you're being stuck in neutral, or you're growing and that other person is being stuck in neutral. If you're working on yourself and they're working on themselves, you guys are continuously grow. And guess what? Sorry to say it, but sometimes you grow apart, and that's okay. Okay, I don't want to get too far off track, but I just want to make sure from my own standpoint, I understand that cycle where we have growth spurts, not just in height and weight, but in the mental. You start to grow, you live life, and you're learning. Life is a classroom, and you should be learning something in every class. It's either an A or an F. There is no in between. What did he say on Talladega Nights? You're in first or last. It's the same scenario. You have to get yourself right before you can wait on anyone else. You can't expect other people to save you, because when when you save yourself, you can manifest your own healthy relationships. You can have your own lasting love, when one can, altogether just abandon the wish that another person can save or heal them. And we're not talking about from a spiritual standpoint. We're talking about, um, your life is spiraling out of control, and you're waiting on someone else to grab you, to catch you, to stop you from falling. Sometimes you got to hit the ground face first. You know what I'm saying? The ability to be there for oneself and unconditionally and abundantly provide self love. I mean, seriously though, these are things that get you so ready for an intimate relationship with another person, because you have to be able to save yourself. That other person has to be able to save themselves. Because what happens is, and this is the part that you have to be mindful of, because if you save yourself, the other person understands that I got to work on myself. If not, I'm going to lose the person that I'm with, because they're continuously nurturing and growing themselves, and I'm not doing anything. You're also setting a requirement. So you have to be mindful of these things and put yourself in a situation where you're not losing, but you're also not winning. And in the process of winning, you're not making another person feel like they did not succeed or that they failed in just trying to be in a relationship with you. I'm sorry I kind of went off on a little, a little self person tantrum there, but this state of being open to both giving and receiving love is a pure, and I'm serious, it's a genuinely authentic way in, unburdening that notion of healing wounds through like internal and superficial means. You got to be able to self love. You got to be able to know that you're going to be okay with or without that other person. This is another way of knowing that you are ready for love and or relationship. Okay. Another thing that, we have to, think about when we're asking ourselves, are we ready for love is, do you honor who you are and where you are in your life? When you understand and honor who you are and where you are in your own life and how you're doing your best with what you have and why this is the most powerful truth to discover and you want to fully embrace it. You have, listen, man, self esteem is the key factor in all of this and everything that we're going to be talking about today, okay? Self esteem. Because if you honor who you are, that means that you're not going to allow yourself to be violated. Listen, it's okay to be in relationships that you have issues. It's okay to be in a relationship where you have trust issues, right? But what you cannot do is lose that place in a relationship or in a forgiveness stage of another person where you lose the fact that you disrespect yourself. Okay? No one should be in control of whether you disrespect yourself or not. That should be completely your choice because the word disrespect only has a negative meaning when you say it with a um, negative purpose. If I'm saying that correctly, okay? Man, that was pretty disrespectful how they did you, man. But it was crazy. You laugh. That's not in a negative manner, right? How you treated me, that was very disrespectful. Everything's about context, but honoring where you are and honoring yourself because you got to remember you're getting back from a place of darkness where the relationship that you came from or that you took a break from, that relationship took you somewhere. So you had to get back to being yourself again, first and foremost. Honor yourself and where you are within yourself. Okay. That has to be um, a big key, okay, into into surviving the next encounter or the next relationship that you have. All right. But you also have to be mindful, right? That you're not asking again for something you can't give. You can't tell the person that they have to respect you and then turn around and not respect yourself. Yeah, you got personal choice and personal decision making over yourself. You're absolutely correct. But what happens is when you don't respect yourself, that other person follows your lead. So if what that person did, if you deem that to be disrespectful in a negative manner, and then you come back and pretend like absolutely nothing happened, you're allowing that person the space to do the same thing over again. You have to start setting new boundaries because you start to honor yourself again and where you are in within yourself. All right. Another thing that we look at when we're trying to decide if we're ready to be in a relationship, and this one, a lot of you are probably going to toot your nose up, and I'm just fine with that as well, right? This one is for everybody, male, female, whatever type of relationship you're in, right? You have to get rid of the checklist. Okay? I'm going to say that again for you. You got to get rid of the checklist. People are always ready for love when they don't have this rigid or this so tight as set of expectations. People come into it with this laundry list of must haves and deal breakers. They simply want to find someone compatible to share their life with. But when you come into it talking about you got to have this, you got to have that, you must do this, you must do that, you got to understand something. You collected that list over your entire life. To use the same list Every time you grow, or every time you go into a new endeavor or a new relationship, friendship, partnership, whatever, right? If you're using the same checklist, what you're saying to me and to everybody else is that you haven't grown a bit. So you have to be mindful that it's okay to have a checklist, but it's within yourself. You got to check yourself. You can't check the other person. You can't put them on a microscope. No one wants to be micromanaged, especially in a relationship. Oh, I seen you came in late last night. You got up at 8, but you didn't get home until 8:30. As if you didn't have to drive home. Get rid of the checklist, because now that means that you're in a place of complete security and mental awareness of everything that's going on around you, and you're making decisions because you honor yourself and where you are. Self-esteem. Okay? You're not expecting that person to be perfect, because guess what? You're not perfect. You're going to make a mistake. And because you're holding them to such a high standard, what happens if they decide that they're going to hold you to the same exact standard? You may come home from work because you had a flat tire, and they hold you to that same standard. So just be mindful of, when we're doing this right here, we get rid of that checklist, but we also get rid of the fact that you're not perfect and neither is the other person, okay? Something that the modern world is starting to teach us, and to teach our children, and to teach us all, right? And this one, a lot of you guys gonna be, perfectly in love with, or however you want to say it, right? You have to be okay with being single, right? And if you can truthfully say, I'm okay with or without a relationship, then that means that you actually ready for one, because you have cleared your mind, you have cleared your conscience, you've gotten rid of the negative energy, you've gotten rid of the negative vibes. You are truly ready. So when people tell you that, what I'm saying, they okay with being single, that is truly the blessing in disguise. That is the diamond in the rough. Okay? You're okay with being single, not to resign or be defeated, right? But you're in a comfortable place and fulfilled. You know what I'm saying? Meaning, it's more about possessing a deeper commitment and knowledge to yourself and who you are and your own purpose. And understanding that while you might want or desire love, you won't allow yourself to be miserable based on your relationship status. That has to be the key to all of this. So I'm going to say that for you one more time. Okay? You're understanding that while you might desire and or want love, you will not allow yourself to be miserable based on a relationship status. So if you're okay with being single, you're definitely ready to be in a relationship. It ain't nothing to be mindful of. Okay? How about this here? You've called off the search. That old adage is true. The person who is the most ready for love is the one who has stopped actively pursuing it. Instead, right? They have concentrated on developing and focusing on themselves, making themselves ready, getting their skills, sharpening their tools for a relationship, and being happy. After all, someone who's confident and grounded, and enjoys a variety of interests is extremely attractive to an outside person that's checking you out. Somebody that might be into you. Someone who is self grounded and ain't looking for love. Remember what we just talked about, right? They're okay with being single. They'll take one if it comes, but they're not going to chase it. They're not going to look for it, but they're still open to it, because you have to be mindful, right? When you call off the search, you still got to be mindful of being available if you want a relationship. Okay? Because what happens is, how you carry yourself dictates how people will treat you. If you want to be treated like a church lady, guess what you got to do? You got to quote some Bible quotes. If you want to be a hoochie mama, you're going to have to put on some sexy outfits and take the comments that come with it. That comment that they tell you in the workplace, right? You got to wear the hat of the job that you want in the future. Same thing. So when you call off the search, you got to be mindful of the fact that you still have to make yourself available if that's what it is that you want. Okay? That's how you make yourself attractive to other people. Another one, right, is you want a relationship, but you don't need one. And I know it sounds like I'm okay with being single and everything that we've talked about, right? But all these have different meaning, right? Someone who is ready for love when they want it, but they don't need it. It goes back to that self love, that self esteem. I have healed myself. I'm just trying, listen, I'm not telling you people how to be ready for a relationship. I'm trying to tell you what it looks like to know that you're ready, but not for yourself, but for the other person who may or may not be seeking your attention. Okay. That is the absolute best place to be. Once in a relationship, and believing it would be great, right? But it's not needing it to complete you or to make you be truly happy because you're happy within yourself and you're your own reality. It makes it so easy for another person to please you when it's something that you want, but not something that you need. Listen, we all want the Mercedes Benz C Class or the AMG or whatever, right? But do we need it? Because in theory, the only thing we're going to be using it for is to stun on our friends and go to work. Guess what you can do that in? A Chevy, a Lexus, you know what I'm saying? The Toyo, you know what I'm saying? The heavy Chevy, the Buick, whatever. It's going to do the same exact thing. So you can want it, but do you need it? Because what happens is when you want that AMG, you're gonna do everything you can to make that thing look attractive. So you're gonna go find the shiniest one to doing everything. Same thing with relationships. When you want it but don't need it, you're gonna present yourself out there. I'm gonna get out in the scene. I'm gonna go hang out with my girls. I'm gonna go hang out with my boys. We're gonna do whatever it is we're gonna do. We're gonna hang out. I'm gonna make myself available, but I'm not gonna be thirsty. I think that's the word that everybody's using nowadays, right? Thirsty. So you got to make sure you put yourself in a position where you can make yourself available, but also not available, if that makes sense to you. Okay. Something that we're all born with. Sometimes they're crooked, sometimes they're straight, sometimes they're perfect, sometimes they're big, sometimes they're boom, sometimes they're bust. But something that we naturally have and we must show off is that smile. You know what I'm saying? The next time you look at yourself in the mirror, right? No matter where you what you're wearing, if you have a whether you got a having a good hair day, a bad hair day, your grays are showing or whatever, when you take a look at yourself and when you're happy with yourself, you smile. And when you smiling, right, can't nobody pass judgment on you. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no making excuses. That is self-esteem at its finest because you're smiling for no reason. That is unconditional love within ourselves. And what happens is when you present that smile, man, people come at you differently, man. Men and women, they respect you differently because that smile, man. What you smiling about? I'm happy. What's making you so happy? Myself. That throw people off. And the people that it throw off are the people you don't want because people that are happy within themselves and they're smiling themselves, they know exactly what you're talking about. Okay. Not to mention how attractive a smile is to the people around you. And especially somebody you, like I said, somebody you might be feeling, somebody you might be digging. So just listen. And again, the negative side is because of the world we live in, right? You got to be mindful not to be smiling in everybody's face to give them the wrong interpretation. Because some people think that you smiling and being happy and loving and living life means that, oh man, you find me interesting, ain't that cute? What's up, little shorty? Whoop de whoop. All of that right there. So just be mindful of that part, okay? Another one, listen, show your own energy. You know you got your own vibe that you match and that you looking for somebody to match. That real deal, that energy, you know what I'm saying? And your own energy and enthusiasm, regardless of whether you have someone, you know what I'm saying, that you're vibing with, your energy is a source from within yourself. And listen, I'm telling you, you put that energy with that smile, and I'm telling you, man, you become more attractive. Ladies, you become more beautiful. Men, that cologne start to kick off a little bit more. People start to look at you different. You're your own magnetic, you know what I'm saying? You're your own magnet. People are attracted to energy. People are also turned off by negative energy. So again, we trying to bring this all together because I want you to feel where I'm coming from when I say, "Are you ready to date?" You know what I'm saying? And another one, and I think this is a big one for me, is it says, this one says, you're over your last relationship once and for all. You don't got no more anger, no more ill will, no more resentment. All of that is gone, right? You have not only forgiven that other person for yourself, but you've forgiven them for them. I don't believe that you have to be enemies with the people that you're no longer in relationships with. It's okay to be okay with them, but you have to be okay with yourself first, because that anger is allowing someone else to control you. You can't allow other people to control you, because if they're controlling you while you're upset, they're sleeping well. They're stopping you from moving forward. You will know that you're ready to put yourself out there and date again when you can think about your ex with a neutral, compassionate understanding. Man, that's her loss, man. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't feeling my vibe. She wasn't feeling me. And you can think about them and not even think about them at the same time, because you find yourself thinking, you know what? I dig everything that they did, but I'm better off without them. I'm not down on nobody. I'm not negative towards anybody, because that's a turn off to the next person, right? But I'm over you. But at the same time, hey man, listen, I hope the best for you. You know what I'm saying? Because it's okay to move on in your life without someone and without trying to put them down just because you can. So just make sure that you're being mindful of that as well. So the next one I'm going to get into, it says you're confident in who you are as an individual, and I think that kind of goes without saying, right? That kind of goes back with everything that we've been talking about. Self confidence is like legitimately the key. Self esteem, self confidence, whichever word you want to use. Listen, man, self confidence is like a aphrodisiac sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Because when you believe in yourself, man, people want to know, can they tame that? Can they get some of that? Can they vibe with that? People want to share that, man, that self confidence. And we're not talking about being boisterous. We're not talking about being sedity or stuck up, trying to be a diva. We're talking about believing in yourself, but also allowing other people into that space. You know what I'm saying? When you take pride in yourself and are clear about your own self worth, that is when you begin to become so attractive, man. You start creating your own environment. You can start creating your own energy, your own vibe. Man, MFs be trying to be around you, man, that you don't even want that you don't even want around you. You got to throw away, what I'm saying, the things that bring you down, and start to explore those other things that kind of bring you up, that bring you joy. You want something that start to bring you some challenges. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I find you attractive, I find you cute, but I've been there, done that. You know what I'm saying? I dig your energy, I dig your vibe, but you know what I'm saying, your self confidence ain't there, or you ain't smiling, or whatever, right? You gotta want somebody that matches your energy. And sometimes, like I said, you gotta be comfortable being by yourself. Sometimes you gotta want a relationship and not necessarily need to be in a relationship. So just be mindful of it, okay? And you gotta also start working on those mental walls that you have set up. Okay, because when somebody is ready to move on and date, they start to incorporate things that match their life. You know what I'm saying? And they start to find people that match their energy after a few dates. That rather than trying to compartmentalize, or like going through the routine, we're gonna do 90 days of this, or we're gonna see where this is. Where do you see me? You know, break the routine, break the norm, do something different, because if you want something different, you have to do something different. And that's where a lot of us struggle, and that's where a lot of us have to work on what we need to do within ourselves. So we have to be mindful of it, that we don't bring these mental walls into our next adventures in life. Okay? And then that's when you start to assert yourself, the things that you need. Another person's sign is like when they come around you, right? And they're looking for a healthy relationship, is when you start to take a stand for yourself and what you want in a relationship, without being, and this is the part that's key to me, right? Without being attached to the other person's response. Here's a couple of things that I'm looking for. Here's a couple of things that I like, right? Boom, 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 boom. And it doesn't matter what they say next. It doesn't even matter if they ask the same question because I'm not attached to their answer. I'm looking for a response because people who are confident and know within themselves, they know what it is and they know how to be honest with their own needs and desires rather than trying to accommodate yours. Because I need to know I'm getting older, I got bad knees and whoop de whoop, right? If I'm in a wheelchair, is that something you're signing up for? Well, I ain't never had to, so I don't know if I could or couldn't. That's a deal breaker for me because I know the life I live, the things that I do, and my situation, I'm probably going to either be on a walker or a wheelchair one day. I'm not saying no time soon, but I got to be reality with myself. And if I can't get around, if I got to do it by myself, why do I need another person in the same space allowing me or making me to do it myself? And vice versa, men and women. So you got to be willing to, and to me, I think it's the wrong word, assert, but it's the word that we're going to use today. You know what I'm saying? You got to be willing to implement your own personal desires. Okay. You got to sometimes you even got to know what your turn ons and turn offs are. You know, when you know what turns you on, and we're not talking about in a sexual manner, but we're talking about from a mental, right? You know, what brings you pleasure and you aren't afraid to go and get it and you're being unapologetic about it. You know, that's a good sign that you might be ready to let somebody else into your world and share your space. Because the key to this is acknowledging that you deserve all of these pleasures. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're with someone or not, and recognizing the fact that all types of mental and physical and even sensual pleasures, right? Even from like the food you eat, the smell that's on another person, how you feel, or like a cool shower, all of these things, man, you know what I'm saying? They help fuel you, but also give you that definition of what it is you're looking for. Okay. And I think this is gonna be my last one, but I think it's a very important one. You have to be comfortable in your own skin, embracing yourself, the inside and out, regardless of what you're wearing. You know what I'm saying? And you know, listen, I'm one of the people. I'm a people watcher, and sometimes what people got on, I don't understand it. I got an opinion. I'm entitled to it, but I also don't share it with that person unless they ask. Then I'm gonna give it to you blood raw. You know what I'm saying? But the type of day you're having, you know what I'm saying, the way you smell, the food that you get, these are all signs that you are fully ready to embrace not only yourself but someone else to be in your space. Okay. And again, like I said, let's be mindful that these are just things that I think are clues to whether to know whether you're ready to be in a relationship because that's where a lot of us seem to lose focus at on if we because we don't know if we're ready. So what I'm trying to do today is give you guys some insight, some input on determining if you're ready for a relationship. Like I said, these are some from my personal experiences. Some of these are from research. Some things are just from talking to other people that I'm putting my insight and my spin on and just kind of giving it to you because I don't want to lead you guys in any direction. I'm just trying to give you some ideas. You know what I'm saying? Um, a topic that I'm working on for next week's episode, and I'm not sure how it's going to fold, so I may not. It's called a thin line between love and hate. And when I say thin, I'm talking about razor thin. But like always, everybody, these are my thoughts. These are my opinions. These are from a different train of thought. I'm just giving you something. I'm thankful for everybody that's tuned in. I'm thankful for all the people that have shared the YouTube site every single week. It's getting more and more views. It hasn't grown as fast as I would like, but the fact that people are still tuning in to the platforms and also YouTube, that lets me know that the brand is growing and I'm thankful for that and for everybody. Don't forget, these episodes drop on YouTube on Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. The new episodes drop on on Monday mornings at 2 a.m. Check us out on the website, the dblpodcast.wordpress.com. You can catch us on TikTok. You can catch us on Instagram. You can catch us on Facebook. However you want to get in contact, reach out. If you got an opinion, we're going to start doing some reviews as we bring this season to a close. We're going to start doing some reviews of other episodes. I'm going to explore some of the questions that people have put out there and we're going to kind of branch into just a review session on different episodes. I want to say thank you to everybody. And as always, if this episode isn't for you, that's fine. But maybe it's for someone else. Don't be the one person who didn't share this with as many people as you know, because you never know who might get something from this. They may not know me, but they know you, and if they trust you, they're gonna follow your opinion. So from everybody,